Okay, people, what we need to do now is we got to make a big box from this little box. And the idea being that I got to look at each one of these lines. I got to look at the angle of it, and I'm going to try to get that angle just right down here. I want to use my page judiciously, right? I want to get that line working. I'm going to check the angle. If I got to change that angle, I'm going to change it. When I say use the page judiciously, I want to think about the size of this thing. I want to think about its placement. And I might have to change some of that. Check this angle. Straight arm, I'm stepping back from it. I don't think that angle, I'm not getting the angle quite right. I'm a little bit rusty from the weekend. It's got to come down here lower. Maybe I'll use my little ruler as a siding tool, right? Might even use it to try and get that angle right. Check it. Hold it up there. Man, I'm still not getting that right. Okay, getting an eraser. It's not the eraser I was looking for. Check that angle again. I want to get the angles of the big box first. That's coming way down here. I don't know what my problem is, but this is down here a ways. Looking at it. Okay. Come on now. Go slow and steady with this, right? And get each angle drawn correctly before you move on. So that's better. I want to get this one over here. Looking at this angle that's created here, but also, what does that angle do? So the thing that I don't really have that I had last time is the negative shapes created by drawing this on a separate piece of paper. That's the same proportions as this piece of paper. So all I've got are the angles, and I gotta get those angles right. Or a reasonable facsimile of right. It's gotta be believable. Okay. That looks pretty good. Double check it, triple check it. Straight arm out, hold this up. This angle looks pretty good. This has got to come out. Now I've got to give myself a little bit of space here. To draw that angle. Just drawing this each time. Checking it. This feels a little pinched over here on this side. Don't love that. Might have to make a change. Moving the whole thing over a bit. Let's take a look here. even that wouldn't be a deal breaker. I got a lot of little lines in here, but I'm going to try to get the big lines first. Maybe get the shape of the whole outside of the box. I'm going to proceed with this for a minute, and if I need to move it over, I'll move it over. Check that angle. That's not bad. This all started fairly tentatively. Check each one of those angles and try and be as honest with yourself as possible. Okay, so now I'm going to draw this back one here. I need to also think about proportion. I'm looking at this line, I'm looking at this line, and I'm going to try and split this in the middle. I want it to look like that, but I also have to think about the perspective system that I'm creating here. You know what? I think that's going to be okay over here, because when I draw it, the object is not going to be totally right here at the outside of the piece of paper. It's going to be right around here. So I don't think that I have to move that over. Okay, going to check that. It's pretty good. Seems like it comes down a little bit there. I don't want it to come down. Okay, I'm going to think about this. Maybe I think about this back proportion that's back there. Got to think about the angle as I try to draw that box. I'm looking at this angle, I'm looking at this angle here. I'm looking at that proportion, I'm looking at this proportion, both of which I can adjust later if I get this wrong. But if I can get it right now, I'm going to save myself some time. Okay, check that angle, check it. I got to draw the outside of this box. That's quite an angle here. I don't think that's gonna be really, really close. Check it, draw it, check it. Yeah, I got that really wrong. This is going to be way down here, more like that. Draw it, check it. That's a better angle, but this thing's going to come off the page. I don't really want that. I want it to be on the page, so I might have to shrink some stuff. That comes off just barely. I look at this over here, I think, can I shrink that down? Of course I can. But is it going to do the thing that I want it to do? what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in some, about right here. I want these two to meet on the page. Can I buy this rectangle for that back rectangle? Again, checking my angle. Yeah, that's not bad. So I got to erase some of these old lines. They're kind of in my way. This one too, it's a bad line. I know that this one's got to be really similar to the line I just drew there, which is something like that. Check it. I can maybe drop that down a little bit. So I'm going to build my box shape by shape. If I've got this right, I ought to be able to draw this line. Well, let's see here. Okay, I got mixed up in my head. This is my back line. Okay. I haven't even drawn the front part of this yet. I totally need to do that. I'm going to look at this angle. It's really close to the line that I just drew. But I just kind of had a little bit of brain flatulence, my friends. This angle more like this. Check it. Check it. This business is easier if you are standing back from something. Being able to check it. Okay, I'm looking at this whole shape now. I'm going to try and get this shape right relative to it. I think it's more like that. I think I've got this maybe a little bit too wide. This has got to converge, and it's not quite doing that. I'm looking at this whole shape right here. I gotta find this shape right, and that means I'm gonna have to cut this up some. To get that right. It's more like if this point is above that line, how much above it is it? It's like this, and I want to get that angle right, but I also want to get this shape right. Makes me wonder if that angle, even though I've checked all these, the angle's pretty darn close. This thing's about right there. That's going to change this architecture over here. The reason why, it's going to raise this up, right? Now I'm looking at this angle and this angle, and I'm looking at that little shape up there, trying to get them right. I might even give myself, like if I hold that there, give myself that little tick mark, and then just use this as a straight edge. This has to feel like it's converging to that other line. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to draw this line as well. Crash! It's got to come down here this way and feel like it's converging too. That's what I was thinking I was looking at a minute ago. That's still, you know, it's going to be close to parallel to that, but it has to converge a little bit more than what I've got. Compare that to my line up here. Same line. Check it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to erase those old lines. This line starts to feel like it's maybe converging too quickly. I'm going to double check that line. Check it. The angle's not bad. Okay, now I'm going to look at the proportion of this. This feels way too long now. I'm going to bring that in until I feel like I've got the proportion. It's about right there. By the way, if this is hard for you, I get it. It's hard. It's way easier to just do this with the strings, which is the way that I've always done it. The thing is the very next project that we're doing, we're going to do the whole thing without the strings, without, you know, we never have used the strings. Making it happen a little bit earlier by doing it on this project this way, just because of the circumstances that we're under. But you can do this, my friends. You can get this. It takes a little while, but getting that box right, coming back, referring to that small study that you've got. Oh, there he goes again. Keep referring back to this small study. Check all your lines. Okay, I gotta get this line right. I think it's about right there. Let's double check it. There's where you think it is, and there's where it is. It's off just a little bit. I think this needs to be more like that. Draw it, check it. Okay. Just because something's hard doesn't mean it's not worth doing. Right. Now I've got to get this line I think it's about like that. Look at that angle. Draw the angle you think it is, check it. That looks pretty good. All right, now if I've drawn all these lines correctly, then I ought to just be able to connect these two dots, and I'll have something that not only looks right, but should be the same angle as up there. Let's see how I did. I don't have a great batting average with you guys about this sort of thing, but I'm going to check that. Check this angle here. It's not bad, it's not exact. It's off a bit. It's off by about that much. So now it's about going and saying, let's use, where do I need to rob Peter to pay Paul? Like that thing comes down here. If I bring this thing down here and I bring this thing down here, because I'm thinking about this line as well. Does that work? Check that angle. Actually, that does work. That was easier than I thought. Sometimes you can go around and around and around before you figure out what your deal was. Okay, so now I got to do, first of all, I got to step back from this thing, look at this box, and ask myself if it looks right, if it looks okay. There's something about this up in here that I don't really like the looks of. Just going to double check that angle. Try to be as honest with myself as possible. That looks pretty good. Step back from the whole thing. Does it look like it could believably be a three-point perspective box? I might even extend these out a little bit just to see if these lines feel like they're converging properly. Extend them out, both ways, and look at the relationship of those lines. Do they feel like they're going out there to to my Z vanishing point? I might do the same thing with these down here. Do they feel like they're going over there to X? Like they're all going believably that way? Don't forget Y-axis. Do they feel okay? Are there any of them that are converging too quickly with the other lines? Are there any that are diverging? Right? I think it's okay. X, Y, Z. He said cautiously. Right? The other thing that you could do at this point is go look at it in a mirror. Okay? Now the next thing I'm going to do is divide this thing up just like I did with that. Divide, 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 divide. Let's take a break here. I'm going to upload this. Bye.